Hi, and welcome to this VisionServer tutorial video. The aim of this video is to demonstrate how VisionServer can work with the Cognex VisionPro software. The first thing we'll want to do when creating a VisionServer VisionPro application is connect to the camera. So VisionServer supports any imaging device that VisionPro supports. So you can see here how we have a Basler Ace camera available through the VisionPro software. So let's right click on this and select connect. We'll go camera and we'll specify the front camera, the image format, and we also have an option for whether we want to use the index to connect to the camera. By default, VisionServer uses the serial number to identify the camera to connect to. This option allows us to use the index instead. This means that if we change cameras, we're still going to connect to it without having to reconfigure VisionServer. So let's just go ahead and leave it as it is. Alright, so you can now see the camera is connected. We can actually double click on this to get a camera page in the editor. We can acquire an image. And you can see here we've just got a checkerboard, and we've got some basic image parameters on the right hand side, so exposure, image size, and those sort of things. The two important parameters here are the trigger mode and the device mode. So the trigger mode is a standard VisionPro trigger model, in which case it's auto to fire off a hardware trigger, manual for a software, or continuous. In task mode, when the image is received, VisionServer will not complete the acquisition until the task executes. This means if the task doesn't execute straight away, multiple acquisitions can queue up. In independent mode, VisionServer automatically completes the acquisition and updates the output pin and VisionServer image tag. This ensures that there are no overruns or queuing up of images, but it also can mean that you miss acquisition events. The user setting means that you can call the complete acquisition from a script. In most cases we use task, but in this application we're actually going to be running in manual mode, so we don't need to worry about it. So now let's go ahead and create a task, and we'll add our camera on, and we can just run this to test a couple of times, and we can mouse over and see the image. One thing to note, VisionServer has access to all the advanced parameters in the camera. The camera parameters are accessed through the tag manager, the same way as communications device tags can be accessed, like OPC or PLCs. So for example, if I wanted to access an additional advanced parameter from this gigabit Ethernet camera, I could go to the tag manager and I could select the selected path, and I can adjust a parameter, and I can select a parameter here, for example user output value all, and I could turn this as an integer, output value all, and so now whenever I access that tag, it's going to go ahead and either read or write to that camera property, and I can also specify an update right here. So let's go back to our sequence. So let's go look at the toolbox for VisionPro. So under VisionPro, the main thing we're interested in is actually the tool block. This is where most of our development happens. The create tool record and vision tasks are only for specific scenarios, and we don't expect users to make use of them very often. So let's go ahead and add a tool block. So let's link the input to there. And the first step we're going to have in this is the calibration. So let's just rename this block and call it calibration. By double clicking on this block, we open the Cognex toolblock editor. This editor should be familiar to any user of the quick build environment, and we use it in the same way. So we have our VisionPro toolbox over here on the right, and let's go ahead and add a checkerboard calibration tool. So add it in. I'll link in the input image, and all we're going to do is run the calibration. So let's link and set the output terminal here. And so since we've set the output terminal here, if we go back to our sequence, you'll find that it's actually created an output pin. The nice thing about this is that it abstracts the entire implementation of this calibration step away into an input and an output in a very easy to view way. So let's just go ahead and run this to get an image into the calibration tool. We'll go double click in here. Just go ahead and open this. We'll grab the calibration image. We can just set this up as we usually would any VisionPro tool. Turn off fiducial mark, and we'll put non-linear calibration on. So we'll go compute, and we can now run this. We can see the output, and so now we're pretty much done with our calibration step. So I can run this here, and you'll see input image, and then we get our unwarped output image. So from here, let's add another tool block, and in this case we'll probably have a location tool block. So we'll find our product. So find part, and I'll just go ahead and put an object in, and I'll run this in again, and let's have a look at our image. So we've got our image of our product. So let's double click in here, and we'll add a pattern matching tool. So let's go ahead and set this up. Again, this is all the same as we'd usually have in VisionPro. So I can train that. I'll run it just to see whether it works. Yes, it's working. And now let's go ahead and see, we'll see what parameters we want here. So let's just enable some angle range. Okay, so what we actually want here is to output a fixtured image based on this. So let's just go and create a fixture tool in here as well. We'll link this here, and we'll link the output image. So let's just go ahead and run that, and we can see our fixture output that we're getting based on our product. And now once we've done this, we can actually just close that here. And we're back at our sequence where we have a nice overview of our sequence. We find that being able to split your VisionPro tool blocks into separate blocks means that your application is a lot more manageable, as tool blocks can become very long and complicated when you have too many tools. Alright, so now what we want to do is actually, on our find part, we actually want some of these parameters to be displayed on the user interface. So we've actually got two options here. We can actually have parameters come in from the sequence, so I can link a terminal as a run parameter. So for example, the accept threshold, I can add that as an input, and then here I can add an input of the same type, and I'll give that a threshold, score threshold, and I'll just set that as an input. And now you can see I've got a pin on my sequence that's an input. So that may be connected from another part of the sequence, or in this case we can actually create a tag and let's just go ahead and set that value to 0.5. So now if we go back to our sequence, we can set the input, assign it to a tag, and our minimum score. So now it's just going to read our minimum score tag value as the accept threshold. And obviously on our page, our user interface page, I can then add a user control, a numeric entry, put it up here, one decimal place, and we'll just connect the value to that minimum score. So now whenever the user changes the control on the screen, it's going to update our VisionPro tool block parameter. The other way this can be done is you can go into our part here, and I can actually click this button here, edit tags, and I can directly expose a property from the tool block back out into the VisionServer application. So for example, to do a very similar thing, I can go run parameters, and I can find my contrast threshold and click add here, and you see it has the path. Click accept. Now now that I don't actually need to link an input in the sequence, I can go directly to my page, add another numeric entry, and then I can click value, add the tag, and you'll find that under tasks, the sequence, my find part block, and my contrast threshold. So it's just that contrast threshold property has been directly exposed as a tag. So that's the two ways of exposing data from VisionPro into VisionServer. So now that we've got a very basic sequence, let's go ahead and add a VisionPro image display. So under Vision, we have VisionPro display. Let's just drag it on here. Let's set the subject. So in this case, it's going to come from the camera. So we'll add tag, camera, current image. Click accept. So we need to add a button to trigger the camera. So let's just add it up here. Right click, scripts, mouse click. And I can press F7 to get my function list, and you'll see that we have camera acquire. And that takes no parameters. And I'll just save that and close it. And let's just give it a name as well, acquire. Alright, so now I can go to my test mode. I can move my camera a little bit, press acquire, and get a new image. So let's go back to our sequence after that. So one of the things you would have noticed is that the image didn't actually have any graphics on it. What we really want is to show the pattern graphics on the image. So in that case, we don't actually want to display the raw image from the camera. We want to actually display the tool record graphics. Now let's just go have a look at our sequence to see what tool record graphics there are available. So under calibration, we have the checkerboard calibration tool output image, and under the find part we have the fixture and the PM align output image. So what we really want is the PM align output image. So VisionServer automatically turns all the tool records of tool blocks into tags that we can just directly bind to on the user interface. So let's just go back to the page and set that up. So let's go back to our subject binding, and let's just add a new tag, and we'll go back to our task. So we need to find our block, sequence, find part is the one, and we want our cog PM align tool input image. So there's our cog record, and let's just click on and select that one and go accept, And now when we click test, so here we've got our tool records displayed on our operator interface. So now we've got our image display with result graphics, got a button and some settings. So that's a very basic introduction into how to use VisionServer with VisionPro. Thanks for watching.